Hi, I'm Orgonite and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be making a money attracting pyramid. That's right, money attracting. It works on the principle that like seeks like in the universe. And how is this like money? Well, this layer right here is solid money, money in resin. Retired, shredded money. And it's perfectly legal because it has been retired. And eBay sells shredded money for novelty purposes, but the thing is that it has changed hands hundreds of millions of times, or hundreds of thousands of times, maybe even millions. But the thing is that it's just teeming with the vibration of exchanging money. And that vibration is really important to have in this pyramid if you're trying to attract money. The other items, I have copper in here, both as a line of copper BBs, and I have copper lined Lemurian seed crystal. I also have gold flecks in here, which also indicates a money vibe. So yeah, it's all about the money. And I put a sacred geometry sticker on there of the seed of life, which is about creation. And it's about creating money. So if you're interested in creating money and you're interested in creating Orgonite, or if you just want to see how it was made, stay tuned. We're going to get started making this right now. Okay, let's get started. So the first thing you're going to need is a pyramid mold. This one is a great one. It has a plastic housing and a silicone insert, which you can easily remove pyramids, and you can remove it to clean it. It's a great mold. And I'll start with a green Lemurian seed crystal, which I have wrapped in 18 gauge copper wire. I'll be using a little bit of gold leaf flakes. I once used gold leafing as my metal in Orgonite, but I now no longer believe that that is effective. But I am going to add it in a small amount today for visual effect. It's going to, I had to rip it up into small, tiny flakes because they come in huge flakes, like bigger than corn flakes. And so I just kind of broke them up smaller so that they will float nicely in the resin that I'm going to pour. We have peridot, and peridot always comes in these really tiny, tiny stones. I don't know why that is, but that's just the way peridot comes. I'll be using pink Himalayan sea salt, coarsely ground, and a little bit of dyed red coral. Oh, and the most important part, actual retired shredded money. This money has changed hands hundreds of thousands of times, and it's got the energy of real money, and that's what we want for our piece. We want things that are in the vibe of money, and that's why we are using the gold flakes, is to help bring in that energy and vibration of money. And anyway, we're going to make a layer of pure money. So I guess where we should start is by pouring our apex of the pyramid, which we are going to insert the Lemurian seed crystal. I'm not exactly sure how many drops of hardener they want us to use for each ounce, but all I remember is when I used the recommended amount of hardener, it really was not enough. So I have worked out 9 drops to start and 9 drops for every ounce thereafter. So I used about 3/4 of an ounce. So I'm gonna use about 15 drops of hardener. I forgot to mention the resin that I'm using is polyester casting resin. And I prefer polyester casting resin because it cures fairly quickly and without a lot of bubbles. When I use epoxy resin, which does have a time and place for me, I do use epoxy resin, but it doesn't cure very quickly and it does have a lot of bubbles you have to work out. So I use epoxy resin for pendants. Most require use of epoxy resin for alcohol inks, but I'm not dealing with alcohol inks now, so I'm purely happy with polyester casting resin for my piece. But if all you have is epoxy resin, feel free to use that. It's just going to take you a little longer is all. So I'm pouring all of my mixture into the apex, and I'm going to add my green Lemurian seed crystal. Perfect. Even though I believe that if I walked away and came back 45 minutes later, the bubbles would most likely be gone, I'm just going to hit it with a heat gun just to make sure. Yep, that's all I needed. And so, oh, and I forgot to mention, we will be using brass shavings for our metal. And yeah, so those are all the things that we're going to need for our pyramid. And our next layer is going to be the tiny gold leafing flakes that I tore up. And with the amount of hardener that I use, it should have congealed in about 45 minutes. So I'll be back then and we'll do our gold layer. Okay, it's now time to do our gold layer. And I just want to say that the resin that we have already poured has absolutely no bubbles and looks very nice and clean. Our crystal stayed up nice and straight. And I'm going to pour this straight on into the cup where I have my little gold flakes. Then I'll just add my hardener right on in with that and stir it up. Perfect. Okay, so we're just gonna let this congeal. I will be back to do our next layer. Okay, I am back and it's getting kind of late, so it's going to be my last layer of the night. But I did want to tell you that I do intend to put a sacred geometry sticker, prismatic sticker on the outside of this. And I think the one I'm going to use is this one, the Seed of Life in a lotus flower with gold in it. So yeah, I think that's the sticker I'm going to use. I just wanted to tell you about where I get these stickers. I get them from a guy who has a store on Etsy called Synchronicity, and he does these amazing prismatic sacred geometry stickers. And if you go there, I'm sure you'll find many stickers that you'll just love. But if you have a piece in mind and you don't see it there, please message Dean. He's the one who has the store, and he can custom make a sticker for you, just like you'd like. So reach out to him and tell him what you'd like, and he can whip up something that will work for you and your needs. Anyway, so let's do our next layer, and for that we're going to use pink Himalayan sea salt. Actually, I also wanted to mention one other thing. I didn't mention this in the beginning because I just decided it last minute, but I'm going to add copper BBs to the mix. I just wanted to have it represent some currency. And yeah, so it's going to represent more money, and that's what we want for this piece, is to have a lot of vibes of money. And the gold flecks really came out nice. I really like how that looks in there. Perfect. So I'm gonna let this just harden tonight, and I will be back in the morning. Okay, so it's time we add our money, and I'm talking about retired shredded money. It's perfectly legal to use. We are gonna stick this right smack dab in the middle of our pyramid. Okay, so I'm gonna add some of my money. Right into the resin, and just stir them together so it kind of makes a sludge of a mixture. Yeah, I didn't need the whole thing. I left about a third of it behind. Oh, what the hell. I'll add some more to it. Can never have too much money. Okay, that's plenty. I'm just gonna hit it with the heat gun. All right, that got all my bubbles, and we will wait about 45 minutes to an hour for this to congeal. Okay, so it's time for our layer of copper. Okay, that looks good. So we're just gonna let this sit for 45 minutes and I will be back. Okay, time for our red coral. We are making this in a layered fashion because Orgonite is made up of layers of conductive and non-conductive parts, and the elements of choice are crystals, metals, and gemstones. So we do some gemstones and then metals, and then some gemstones or crystals and some metals, and so that's what we're doing. And those layers will act as a filtration device to help protect from EMF radiation coming from cell phones, Wi-Fi towers, 5G technologies, among other negative energies, and will transmute them into positive energies. So that's what we're doing if you're curious. Time to do our layer of peridot. All right, it's time to demold our piece. Wow, that turned out better than I expected. I really like this piece. This is better than any of my other money attracting pyramids. We did a nice job on it. So now what needs to happen is I need to sand these edges, and what I use to sand my edges are emery boards. It's the best way to sand with control. If you have sandpaper and that's what you'd like to use, feel free. I will leave a link in the description box for the emery boards. I also will add the feet to it, and then she'll be done and ready for use. Anyway, I will share with you what that looks like when we're through. Okay, so I have sanded the edges, and I'm going to add the feet, which are cabinet dampening bumpers, about a 1/2 inch little circle of rubber, and they just go right in the corners. So we have our feet, and now is time for our sticker. I don't know if you can see that. Anyway, let's give this a try. Perfect. So we now have our hologram Seed of Life Lotus sticker, gold and prism on the front, and I love the layer of the copper BBs. That really looks nice. I've never used the BBs in this pyramid before, but I think it needs it. And the gold fleck here on the top, that's really beautiful too. I haven't done that before, so I've really moved this pyramid up to a new level, and I'm really pleased with this piece. Anyway, if you're interested in any of the pyramids or products that I make on my channel, you can find them on my Etsy shop, which I will leave in the description box, or my website, which is orgonite.com. Yeah, you should be able to find my stuff there. So if you enjoyed today's video, please give me a big thumbs up. It makes me super happy when you do that. Also, subscribe to my channel if you're interested in more Orgonite projects. And don't forget to hit the notification bell if you want to be made aware when new projects are released. I'm Orgone. Thank you for joining me in my Orgonite studio. Have yourself a wonderful rest of the day.